is 1999. Family Guy and Futurama hit TV for the first time. Episode 1 of Star Wars is in the theaters. More importantly, Honda is developing one of the most iconic two-seat sports cars for its 50th birthday. This car is well known when Suki first took out the boys in the Fast and Furious iconic scene. This car is seen today as an out-of-the-box race car, and it has been stanced, autocross, drifted, and taken down the half mile on a stock block at 200 miles per hour. I'm talking about the 2 and 2.2 liter dual overhead cam goodness, VTEC 6-speed manual, top, down, and revving to a freaking 8,800 RPM redline. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about none other than the Honda S2000. Being brought to the market in 1999, Honda was able to keep the sales of this car going up until 2009, which was the fizzling end of an era. Unfortunately, during this time, Honda noticed the sales of the Roadster were starting to decline, having sold up to just over 110,000 units, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's how many Honda Fits were sold in the Japanese market in 1 year alone. Though the sales were not through the roof, no pun intended, the S2000 received praise from any critic that could possibly mention it and competed in just about every motorsports class that it could. Due to the setup from the factory, this car has been proven to be a stellar platform for any car enthusiast that's looking for a mini but mighty sports car. These cars will help you to push you to your limit as a driver, and on the flip side, allow you to push the car to its limit as well. How much can you push these cars exactly? Well, we're here today to talk about the pros and cons of modifying your Honda S2000. Okay guys, before we get into the pros and cons here, we here at MAPerformance are celebrating our 15-year anniversary, much like Honda did with their 50th anniversary in the S2000. For our anniversary, we are helping you guys out, because I know everybody is missing 10mm sockets. So we are giving out MAPerformance specific sockets to random orders that are placed in the month of September. Not only that, but we are also pulling full Willy Wonka fashion and giving out 4 10mm golden sockets in random orders. And with these, if you get these in your order, it is worth a $1,500 MAPerformance gift card. Along with the 10mm sockets, we also have a brand new 15-year anniversary shirt designs with all proceeds going to Direct Relief, a disaster relief charity. Place your order today for a chance to win, or visit our website for more details on that. And without further ado, let's get into the pros and cons of the S2000. Pros: it's an S2000. End of video, we're done. But in all seriousness, being an S2000 is a pro in itself. Of course, from the factory, you get rear-wheel drive, you get a high-revving 240 horsepower 4-cylinder engine with a 6-speed manual transmission on a lightweight chassis that is more than capable for most drivers out there. If you've ever wanted a car that you can autocross and take to the track and compete with just about anybody else that is not a Miata, well, this is going to be the car for you. Of course, being that they developed the car for so many years, there's tons of aftermarket support for any direction that you want to take, whether you want to have a track-specific car, you want to autocross, you want to drift, you want to slam it, you want to drive it on a daily basis. There's parts out there from wheels, tires, brakes, turbo kits, and anything else that you can think of. Of course, with such a broad aftermarket support, there is also a ton of community and forum support. Any question that you might have or anything that you run into on this car has been answered in great detail on one of the forums, or you can always ask a community member on your local Facebook page, and I'm sure that they will have the answer. I know this because I have an S2000 myself, and on many occasions I've had to do just that. Of course, I wouldn't be expecting to spend too much time on those forums, because for the most part, the S2000 out of the factory is a fairly reliable car. Now, it is a little bit more maintenance heavy than your standard Honda. What do you expect from a car, 4-cylinder at that had the most power per cylinder that was only beaten by a Ferrari? As long as you do your standard routine maintenance and change a couple of those few components such as the timing chain tensioner, you'll have a car that'll allow you to run for many miles in track day events without any issues. Now, in the event that you do decide that you want to go for more power, that stock block in there, whether it's an AP1 or an AP2, is more than capable for handling a fair amount of power. Most people will push these cars to up to about 500 wheel horsepower without having to change any of the internals. Of course, that's not always the case, and if you do find yourself blowing a piston through the block, well, you have many decisions whether you want to put a rebuilt engine back in there, or the S2000 also makes a great contender for any swaps that you can imagine. Whether you want to go sacrilege and put a V8 LS1 in there, or maybe you want to go a little bit more exotic such as a 2JZ or a Viper V10, all of which have already been done. So moving on from the pros of the S2000, we'll go right into some of the cons. Of course, if you do decide that you are going to go the route of rebuilding that engine, depending on the model year, there's going to be a couple of things that you'll have to keep in mind when doing so. On an AP1, which is the early model year, you're going to have the cylinders sleeved because of the FRM lining that is in those on some of those older Hondas. Of course, this is going to add an additional cost, but something to factor in there. The AP1s also are going to need valve spring retainer upgrades, as they are known to fail under high RPM applications such as road racing or the good old money shift, which, let's be honest, every single one of us has done at one point or another. Going with that built block is going to allow you to have the availability to make some big power. If you plan on doing it, plan on also going for a supercharger or turbocharged setup, as there is not much power to be made in your basic bolt-ons. On some of these more modern vehicles, it's not unheard of to bolt on 30, 40, 50, even up to 60 horsepower. On the S2000, you'd be lucky to make anywhere from 15 to 30 horsepower. Not all is lost, of course, and it is still worth doing because you're going to severely upgrade the driving experience as well as the sound. There's nothing quite like hearing that engine rev up to 9,000 RPMs if you have an AP1, and of course, it's still pretty cool at that 8,200 RPM and the AP2. Add on an intake and the induction sound that you get rivals some of the best out there. Along those same lines, there's not much you can do that is going to be cheap in terms of making the car handle better. Out of the factory, the Honda S2000 has some of the best driving and handling characteristics out of just about anything out there. If you're looking to improve upon it, you can expect to pay somewhere in the realm of between $2,500 to $3,500 for a quality set of coilovers that is going to actually improve the handling. Anything else is going to throw off that suspension geometry, and you're really not going to see a huge improvement, which is fine if you're looking to just slam the car or you have something specific that you're looking to do with the car. Otherwise, you're usually better off just staying with those amazing Honda suspension from the factory. Speaking of factory components, the S2000, of course, is an iconic roadster. Now, being a roadster means that it does have a convertible top, which is awesome because no other vehicle comes close to the feel that you get of the S2000. With that said, they are known to rip and tear over time. Now, not usually a big deal on most cars, except for OEM Honda soft tops can be known to be quite expensive. Additionally, if you don't like the look of a soft top, you can always go with an aftermarket hard top or even an OEM one at that. Now, when it comes to the hard tops, you're going to be looking at spending a pretty penny on one because they are not cheap, especially if you look at an OEM one, which runs anywhere from about $3,000 to $5,000 for a hardtop. And in my opinion, completely changes the car and makes it not really an S2000 at that. Of course, this is just my opinion on the S2000, but I will say another con is if you are in the market for one, you may have noticed in the past few years, they have absolutely skyrocketed in value. Probably because people are realizing what a special and amazing car this is. If you're in the market for one, I would suggest hopping on one as soon as you can, so you can snag them before they are all out of budget and up there with some of those other iconic 90s Japanese sports cars. Now, The biggest pros of the S2000, of course, are that it is an S2000, and perhaps the biggest con of these cars is just the cost of everything. With that said, we are going to do a more in-depth breakdown of what the cost of a car is and what the cost of some of the modifications are. Again, my name is Kevin with MAPerformance. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and if you did like the video, smash that thumbs up button. And if you want to stay up to date, make sure that you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on that bell notification so you can get notified, of course, at any time that we have a new video coming out. If there's anything that you guys want to see, whether that's S2000 related or not, leave a comment down below and we'll be sure to check it out. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and until next time.